Hello, welcome back to Remote Kinstretch with the Fitness Alchemists. Today we're going to work on the wrist. We've been getting some more requests for wrist training. So we're going to get into some specific ways of stretching that actually can move the needle on how well your wrists function. So stay tuned for that. We're not going to need any props today other than just a comfortable place to work on the floor. So a mat or a thick rug or whatnot, as well as something to hold on to when we do some standing hip car work. All right, so I'm going to have you start out on hands and knees to just warm up our spine as well as that wrist joint. A little bit. Okay, and take a moment to shift your shoulders behind your hands. And then from there, start just feeling your finger pads pushing into the floor. And start pushing them into the floor so much that you can imagine almost arcing your palm away from the floor. It's not going to come off the ground, but I want you to get that feeling of like palming a basketball and really to engage the tissue in your hands, in your wrists, forearms, and shoulders. Now try to do the same thing with your toes if they're curled under. If they're not curled under, you can just push the top of your foot into the floor and get that same contraction. And then keep those 2 points contracting, hands and feet, as you start to curl your tailbone under. And then like a nice slow motion, controlled wave, flex segment by segment up your spine. Watching out so that your shoulders don't start to drift forward over your active fingertips, but actually stay back behind your palms. Good. With your chin on your chest, make sure your tail is curled under as much as you can find. And then begin going the other way, tailbone to the ceiling. Belly button towards the floor. Keep those fingertips active, keep your toes active, and all points in between. Start to reach your sternum forward, collarbones forward and up, and finally sending a stretch into your neck. Good, one more rep. Keeping your sternum extended, start that curl under at your tailbone again. Trying to accumulate the sensation of contractions that you can find in your midsection, in your rib cage, in your chest, and finally at the front of your neck. And then really keep that rounded shape in your upper back as you begin extending your spine. Each rep through this very standard car, you have the chance to make it a little better and become a little bit more expert at the motion of your spine. So really make that goal of mastery your task. Great. All right, then from there, go ahead, go to tall kneeling or seated, either one works fine, and we're just going to work the wrist car. Go ahead and grab onto your one forearm with the opposite hand so that you can really focus on the motion of just one wrist at a time, and brace this forearm against your body so elbow digs in, and then also like use that other hand to almost add to that drive of elbow into body so that both arms are working, and then hand is pancake flat. You're going to go fingertips towards the floor and just search for a stretch at the base of your wrist, similar to what you just felt in quadruped. And then keeping the palm of your hand facing up towards the ceiling, you're going to start bringing your fingers out to the side. Good. So you didn't let your forearm twist at all. And then start to bring your fingertips up to the ceiling, keeping that flat hand. And keep the palm facing towards the ceiling as you go fingers in, so that that pancake flat hand is moving around just the wrist joint. Let's keep going in this direction, trying to let your brain figure out what is wrist compared to what is fingers, hand motion, or forearm motion. There we go.
Cramp bell.
Cramp bell. It can be a small joint, but a lot of effort to move only that joint. When your fingers get down to the floor, pause and go the other direction. Good. And what you might notice is that there's very limited motion available side to side. much less than we have up and down. Okay?
Yep.
So as your fingers come out to the side, really try to shorten this side and lengthen that side. And do one more rep. If you're feeling some fatigue in the arms, go ahead and lean into that fatigue. Really try to ramp up the effort for this final circuit. Good. Keeping the palm flat. And relax. Shake it out. And let's do the other side. So considering the difficulty of controlling just one wrist, that's why we really encourage you to do these wrist cars one at a time, although you technically could do them both at the same time if you're short on time, or you just want to get more reps in throughout the day. Go ahead, fingers to the floor, find a stretch, and then begin bringing those fingertips one direction to the side, starting to reach the whole hand up towards the ceiling, then out to the other side, and back down to the floor. Really try to feel the way that the tissue that is shortening here actually connects at your elbow all the way to your pinky. You're trying to shorten that whole line. Now you're trying to shorten the whole line from your fingertips to your elbow. And finally from your thumb to your elbow. Really try to feel that flow of tissue contracting. Good. Pause with your fingertips to the floor. Bear down with your brace of elbows into body and go the other way. Hannah loves it when I use the bear down cue. Good. As your fingers go towards the floor, really try to open that palm up even more. Imagine what it would take to make the shape of your wrist when you're in quadruped. That's our goal. Nice. All the way around. Don't give up on the effort of your alternate arm, really pulling that elbow into your body. Excellent, and relax once your fingers get towards the floor. Let's keep going now with our warm-up. Come up to standing. Grab onto that object that's not going to move, so you can just focus on the hip car, and stand tall on the leg closest to the object that you're leaning on. Okay? Go ahead and standing tall, bring your other foot off the floor, and just feel that that standing leg takes all of your body weight, and really try to root that foot through the floor. Maybe feel your butt squeeze a little tighter, feel tension in your midsection turn on, and then do a miniature hip car. So Hannah's going to show us just a miniature hip car. You can follow along with us. We're going to keep going in this direction. Let it be a smaller than usual hip car. The goal here is to feel where or when your body is trying to shift shape and not letting that happen. So you're sacrificing the size of your hip circle in favor of the stability of the rest of your body. Good. Now keep moving in this direction 20 more seconds and start making the circle just a little bit bigger each time. So now it might approach the size of your normal hip car, but you're still focused on standing tall on that stable, non-moving leg. Next time you get knee to knee, pause there, brace hard, and start going the other direction. You can start with a medium-sized circle now, continuing to try to make it a little bit larger each time, trying to reach further behind you, higher to the side. Thigh gets closer to the stomach. Good, 20 more seconds. Really feeling the heat build in your body due to the activity of that standing leg. There we go. Final 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Nice work. Turn on around, other side. So here too, feel your standing leg root through the floor. Imagine that you're rooted 2 feet below the floor you're standing on, and then hold on to that sensation and start up a miniature hip car. Like you're just drawing a little circle with your kneecap. You're not stressing about the size of the circle you can create. You're really just feeling how your body's brace has to accommodate the movement of your working leg. As you continue, start making that circle a little bit larger. Don't sacrifice the stability of your standing side. Good. You might be able to see there are moments where Hannah is just going a little bit slower to feel into the corner of her hip. That's a great option. You could even pause and hold it. Keep working in this direction. 10 more seconds. Next time you get knee to knee, pause and reverse course, starting with a medium-sized circle and getting a little bit larger circle each time, but always getting that added range from the hip joint and not from motion of your spine. Good. 15 more seconds. Lean into that feeling of effort in your standing leg. It'll be over soon enough. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Relax here. Okay, so we're going to come back down to tall kneeling. Feel free to do this next piece standing or seated, whatever's comfortable for you. What we're going to work on throughout the class here is feeling the isometric contraction that would be most beneficial for increasing the range of motion for your wrist. So think about in our hip, when we stretch the capsule, we're rotating the hip. If we're rotating the shoulder, we're stretching the capsule to get more range. The capsule in your wrist is captured by side-to-side movement. So you can again grab onto your forearm just like we were doing before, make a nice tight fist, and just explore that motion to start. Just like Hannah's showing, trying to open up one side of the wrist and contract the other side. And really just get a feel for that. However stiff this movement is will dictate the range of motion you have in all the positions of your wrist. All right? And what you might see for Hannah and for all of us is that you're very limited in this medial flexion of your wrist. It almost feels like there's maybe 1 or 2 degrees beyond neutral. That's what we're going to try to improve. Okay? So while that's fresh feeling for you, go ahead and turn your hand the other direction. Place your other thumb right at the notch where your thumb is rooted to your wrist. You should find there a little bit of a gap, and you want to just place the thumb on that gap and then grab onto the rest of your fist with your hand. All right, and then that provides a little bit of a lever for you to start to open up and gap a stretch on the opposite side of the wrist. So just take a moment, micro adjust your forearm and your hands until you are starting to feel that gapping feeling. All right, and then think about anchoring your elbow into your body on that stretched arm side so that this is going to be the strong, immovable side of the joint. From here, from this passive stretch position, we ramp up a Pale's contraction by trying to sweep that stretched hand away from your body, but the other hand won't let it happen. So you're trying to do that. Hannah's going to demonstrate quickly just the motion that you're thinking of, but you're going to stay braced. Yeah, you're trying to think of that. Okay? Go ahead, hold this Pale's contraction another 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax it. Great, and let's set up on the other side. Thumb notches in at the root of your thumb. And then close the fist around that other fist. Anchor your stretching arm elbow into your body and begin searching for a sensation of stretch on the outside of that wrist joint. Micro adjusting your body as needed. to really feel for that stretch. And then begin thinking of reaching your stretching hand away from your body. That thought or that intention should put some tension into the stretched area. This is your pales contraction. Ramp it up to 20 or 30% is great to start here today. And hold it for another 8 seconds. And relax it. Okay, so we're going to sprinkle those through today so that you accumulate time under tension for that area, and then we'll finish with wrist cars and see how they're a little different than when we started. Okay, go ahead and make your way now to a 90-90 position. Okay, and if you know of a better setup for you in 90-90, we are going to be working your front leg, so I invite you to tailor that setup if you know how you need to do that. We're going to go ahead and just work on the floor for the video here. Turn your pelvis towards the front knee and then begin hunting for a stretch in your front glute by reaching your belly button up and out. Imagine trying to reach your belly button out in front of that front kneecap. Hunt for that stretch. Once you feel like you're getting close to it, think tail feathers up behind you. And that should bow the stretch a little bit more specifically. And then from this stretched angle, start pressing your ankle and knee of the front leg into the floor. This should effectively turn on the tissue that you were just stretching. And use that pressure into the floor to slowly guide your spine upright. So you're slowly pushing the floor away with your shin and bringing your spine tall. Keep pushing the floor away until your shoulders are right over your pelvis again. Then pause. Think about how lightly you can hold that foot and knee away from the floor, and use that to start closing down at your hip crease, pulling yourself back into the stretch. Pulling, 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 trying to reach that ankle away from the floor. Go all the way to a complete stop, pause, press the shin, ankle, and knee into the floor, and slowly guide your spine back upright. Keep pushing the floor away even as your shoulders get over your pelvis. Then pause, think of lifting that front leg off the ground, and use that lift feeling to pull yourself back into a stretch. Each rep, you might find a little bit more range, but keep hunting for that range at your hip and not allowing your spine to round. Good. Keep working on this another 20 seconds. Pulling yourself into the stretch by thinking light front leg. Pushing yourself out of the stretch by thinking heavy front leg. Finish up the movement you're on, and then let's make our way to the other side. Take that moment to hunt for your stretch on this side, knowing that it might be different, probably will be different than the first side. And take that moment to bow the stretch further by thinking tailbone up or tail feathers up. Once you have a clear feeling of that stretch, engage a pales contraction, foot and ankle and knee pushing into the floor. Use that to guide your spine upright as you push the floor away with that front leg. We're trying to work all of that tissue on the back side of your glute and thigh area. Then pause here, make the front leg as light as possible, and use that light feeling to contract yourself back into a stretch. Pull yourself back into that stretch. Now engaging the front of the hip and the hip crease. Front leg gets heavy to push yourself back upright. Front leg gets light to close the hip angle again into that stretch. Good. Keep moving at your own speed. knowing that it's better to go too slow than to go too fast. We're really just trying to bring that isometric work forward one step of complexity as we add some movement here. But you keep wanting to feel for those isometric type contractions of our pales and rails. Pales contraction to bring your spine upright. Last 10 seconds. Rails contraction to pull your spine forward in order to stretch your hip. Excellent. And relax wherever you're at. Come back up to tall kneeling or standing or seated. We're going to get a second round in for the wrists. So supporting side thumb notches right into the stretching hand medial wrist area. And then grab onto the hand. Pull that outer side of the joint into stretch. And then torque that stretch a little bit more intensely by bringing the elbow into the ribs. Very important that you actually do feel a stretch. That is your stretch reflex that you're feeling, and that's the main limitation to increasing your range of motion. So we really want to address this actual sensation that you find in your body, and then begin to contract that line of tension by thinking hand away from body on the stretching side, but it can't move because your other hand is too strong. Ramp this up to 30 to 40% effort this round. I like to imagine I have a hammer in my working hand, and I'm trying to throw that hammer away from my body. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax it. And let's find the same setup on the other side. Yep. Good. Anchor that elbow against your body. Open up the stretch on the outside of your wrist. And really get curious about how could you find an even more juicy line of tension. That inner curiosity, that intention to look for a sensation is going to be your most valuable tool. Start to ramp up a pales contraction, trying to bring the stretching hand away from the body, but the other hand won't let anything move. Ramp this up to 30 to 40% effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to do some more hip work, but now on the forearms. So come on to elbows and knees. Go ahead, come this way again. All right, and just reach one leg long behind you. Keep the foot on the floor, but straighten out that knee. And take a moment to make the elbow on that extended leg side extra heavy. So you're really adamantly pressing that elbow into the floor. Feel how that pressure translates into ab contraction on that side. You're going to keep that front of mind as you now lift your straight leg away from the floor and engage your glute tissue, the back of your hip tissue, as much as possible. Take 10 seconds and send as much energy to that extended hip as possible. 5, 4, trying to open the front of that hip. 3, 2, 1, melt it down. Good. Now we're going to progress that. Get braced again, heavy elbow. Smoothly lift that straight leg away from the floor. And then keeping your body still, start to rotate thigh, shin, and ankle in an axial rotation or a hip capsule rotation on that extended straight leg. Fighting for active contraction at the back of the hip and an open, stretched sensation on the front of your hip. 8 seconds to go with this rotation. Going slow enough that you can start to feel those new sensations and relax. Great. Last effort on this side. We're going to do one last piece on that side to really burn out that hip. So keep the leg extended behind you. Brace the elbow heavy. And then reach the straight leg away. Imagine now a ping pong ball right behind your heel, and you're going to make small circles around that ping pong ball with your heel. Really trying to be specific with the circle. Keep going in this same direction. Pause wherever you are and go the other way. Fighting to keep your body position behind your elbows and keep that elbow on the working side heavy. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Okay? Give your neck a little break if you need it. And then we're going to get after the other side. Elbows get heavy. Opposite leg straightens out. Feel how the elbow pressure translates into abdominal brace. And then keep that brace as you reach the straight leg away from the floor. This first rep, just let it be isometric, not moving, just sending as much neural drive into the tissues at the back of your hip that you can in order to open up the front of the hip as much as you can. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Melt it down. Good. Round 2, make that elbow heavy to feel your brace. Float the back leg up off the floor without letting your spine move at all. And then axially rotate the thigh, shin, and ankle. One way and the other, searching for complete stops in your rotation at each end range. 8 more seconds. Trying to really keep the same straight line of your leg, but just rotating like an axle. 2, 1, lower it down. Good. Check that you're braced still behind your elbows. Elbow gets heavy. Float that leg for your final round here. And now we're doing small circles. Heel traveling around an imaginary ping pong ball with a straight leg. Really fighting for the knee to stay straight. 3, 2, pause. Go the other way. Excellent. Really fighting for the highest leg that you can without your spine changing shape. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Great stuff. All right, let's give those forearms and neck a rest, coming back up to tall, kneeling, or standing, and getting our final round of wrist stretching in. Thumb again anchors as a lever. Stretch open the side of your wrist by bringing elbow to body, searching out for that stretch sensation, and then begin Pale's contraction, trying to reach your stretching hand away from your body, trying to contract that stretched area, but not letting any movement happen. Bring this effort up to 40 to 50% now. So it's a really significant forearm effort. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Relax. And the other side. Anchor the elbow into the body. Find the clear sensation of stretch on the outside of that wrist. And then begin trying to reach that stretched hand away from the body as you keep it still with the other hand. It should really feel like if you took your other hand away, your hand on the stretching side would just pop right away from your body. Holding this 50% effort for 8 more seconds. 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Good. All right. Let's finish up with just some wrist cars to pick up on any changes that were made in the wrist. So turning your palm upright again, brace onto your forearm, elbow into body, turn up a bit of tension in your midsection, and then keeping your hand pancake flat, let's go fingertips to the floor. And we're just going to do 1 rep in each direction. So really go nice and slow. Fingertips towards your midline. up towards the ceiling with a nice pancake flat hand. Fingertips out to the side. Trying to find that same stretch that we were just working hard on. And then fingers towards the floor. Go ahead, reverse direction. And let your brain learn about this newly opened wrist joint. Go slow. Notice the sensations of contraction and stretch. And really fill in as many gaps in your smooth car that you can. Good, and relax. Let's do the other side. Great. Now, if you're noticing a very herky-jerky motion in the hand, or you're having trouble feeling stretch or contraction at any position, all that means is that you would benefit greatly from many more wrist cars. So go ahead and help yourself to as many as you can throughout your day. Let's go and get one here now. Fingers to the floor. Fingers towards your midline. Palm reaches towards your bicep to send the fingers to the ceiling. And then fingers away from your midline, trying to find that same stretch sensation that we were just isometrically working today. Fingers towards the floor. And then reverse course. Nice and smooth. Hannah's doing an excellent job of keeping the hand as one unit unto itself, not letting it articulate on its own. Good. Really feeling for end range at every position of your wrist. And finishing up where we started. Excellent. Great work. Let us know any questions that you might have about the wrist. It's kind of a tricky one. And have a great day.